Hi everyone and welcome. I'm super excited to talk to you about BooksShark's Level F Reading with History, the Eastern Hemisphere. After 6 years of homeschooling, I can finally say I am head over heels in love with our curriculum choices, especially our history curriculum. I want to show you an overview of this curriculum so you can see for yourself how awesome this is. We'll also briefly cover how I adjust this to fit our needs and what the new virtual seats bring to the table. Today's video will be a long one, so let's get started. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Laura from monkeymom.com with reviews and tips for homeschoolers to make your choices easier. I homeschool my son for 6 years now, and it's been a journey I thoroughly loved and enjoyed. If you're new, please consider subscribing and turn the notifications on to see when I post new content. I really appreciate each and every one of my subscribers, and your support keeps me going and this channel running, so thank you. This sponsored video is part of a full blog post that you can find linked in the description below, so make sure to check that out for more information. I also link to any relevant products discussed in this video. BooksShark is an eclectic, fully planned, literature-based, secular curriculum covering all grades from pre-K to 12. Their aim is to encourage a love of learning through an engaging curriculum based on context and understanding and not on rote memorization. What attracted me to them was the fact that they believe in the curriculum molding to the child and not the other way around, which is something I've been doing successfully in our homeschooling for years. I also really love the idea of a literature-based curriculum where kids learn in context, so choosing BooksShark was a no-brainer for us. The subjects they offer are math, science, history and geography, and language arts. We chose just the history from them initially, and then I decided to add a virtual seat for the language arts. Because since we'll be reading a lot of books, I felt this will be enriching for our literature appreciation and growth as well. I have to admit our previous attempts at learning history have been failures. We might have started history too early. We started it in 3rd grade. Or the approach I used didn't suit my son. I'm still not 100% sure where things went wrong. So 6th grade history was the hardest subject for me to pick this year, and I have to confess I feared it the most. I changed my mind several times and I searched high and low for a curriculum to fit most of our check boxes. So here's what I wanted from our history curriculum. I wanted it to be secular. We don't do well with religion mixed with other subjects. I wanted it to be engaging, not boring dry textbooks, but texts that draw my son in to want to find out more. I wanted it to have assessments and a grading system so we can send them to our school. I wanted it to be interesting for both of us because we are past reading elementary level books. I wanted history that sticks, not just dry, boring dates and facts. We aren't homeschooling to check out boxes. I care what information my son retains. And I wanted it to go beyond history, teach culture and geography as well, because it's easier to relate to a people's history if you know them better. I also wanted it to be story-based because textbooks don't really work for history for us yet. I think context is more important than memorizing dates at this age, maybe even to spark a desire to learn this subject in depth later on. I wanted the history curriculum to be easy to implement because I can't add more time pressure on myself for planning or piecing things together. It needs to be spelled out for me. I wanted it to be time effective as well. History isn't an interest in our homeschool and other subjects will come first. We need to be done with it in maximum 1 hour per day. And lastly, I wanted to possibly cover some Asian history since half of our family comes from Asia. This was just a wish since I haven't seen many curricula do this, so I didn't judge any curricula by this one. It would have been a nice added bonus for us though. I don't know if I wanted too much, but choosing a homeschool history curriculum this year was what kept me up at night. literally. I browsed websites, groups, and forums. I didn't even know what I was looking for, to be honest, just that I didn't like most of it. We all know that most history curricula are either US or Europe centered. Even if some treat brief passages of history outside these borders, it's usually just in passing. I haven't found any other history curriculum aside BookShark to treat the East exclusively over 1 year, so that was one of the main aspects that drove me to it. BookShark Reading with History Level F covers all of my history checklist points for this year. Aside from the fact that I wanted a literature-based history curriculum this year, I really do wish for my son to have a broad perspective on the world. We keep hearing about all these Eastern countries on the news, but know little about their history and heritage, and even less about their culture. BookShark's Level F Eastern Hemisphere gives us a background and context to their history in order to better understand the news and conflicts of today. Level F History from BooksShark is one of the most loved homeschool history curriculum levels because it treats a less taught side of history, the history of the East. This level takes us through an intercontinental journey through the East, and I absolutely love it. Level F covers ages 10 to 13, and I love that BooksShark chose to split their levels into age groups, not grades. Aside from the fact that this is useful for families with multiple children close in age, it also makes it super flexible for anyone to pick what they want to study. My son is on the younger half of this curriculum, he's 11, but we picked Level F now because it was a great fit for us this year. So rest assured, you can choose this level anywhere from 5th grade to 8th. I have to admit, this is the box I've been awaiting most eagerly among all my other curricula. That's why BookShark Reading with History Level F gets to be the first one of our 6th grade choices that I am reviewing. BookShark sent me a box with everything we need to successfully complete a year of homeschool history, and it has a lot of items. For a full list of the books included, please check my unboxing video linked in the description below. Instructor's Guide. The strength of any BookShark level lies in its instructor's guides. These are the must-haves of BooksShark. BooksShark's instructor guide is what holds all the curriculum together. It's the glue to your books and resources. It makes things work together seamlessly, and best of all, it's ready-made and so flexible. This guide has it all. It makes a parent's job so easy, and that's something I really needed in my life right now. No more trying to match books with history spine, no more sleepless nights trying to make a plan that's not too overwhelming and not too easy. No more trying to decide what to do and feeling overwhelmed with all the options. Just open and go. It's that simple with BooksShark's instructor guides. They say you could even work from these IGs without coffee, and I agree since I don't drink coffee anyway, but you might still need your morning coffee before you open your guide. Try this at your own risk. The IG offers parents a ready-made schedule that's still customizable and flexible. I love how easy it is to move things around and adapt them to your family's needs. BooksShark offers 4-day guides so that on the 5th school day, you can do whatever you want. We homeschool for 5 days, so if we are behind in history, this is when we'll catch up. This is also a day to watch documentaries or do their current events report. But you don't have to believe me when I say the instructor's guides are a goldmine for parents. See this for yourself, as BooksShark is offering 3 free weeks of any instructor's guide for you to try. Links down in the description. So let's quickly look over a weekly overview and a daily plan from the instructor's guide. I will switch the camera over and flip through this IG so you see how it's set up. So each week starts with a week at a glance where you have a full view of what you will be doing with your kids. This includes the history and geography and reading part. This page can be used for reporting purposes, and this is very easy to add to your educational portfolio if you need to. The extra space is for planning other resources on the same page or taking notes. I will show you I like to use this space to write down vocabulary words or even to keep reminders. For example, reminders to look for a documentary or image. Now we go into the notes, and this is the meat of the whole instructor's guide. This is where you actually sit down and do the work, and this is what makes the IG so appreciated. After the weekly overview and the general idea of what you're doing and what books you need to pull out, this section has all the goodies. What I love about this section is that the parent has everything spelled out. Even if you don't have time to read any of the books and your kids will be reading them all, you will have questions and answers detailed. These questions and answers, background information, definitions, and parent help are what makes BooksShark such an amazing curriculum. Reading books is great, but putting them together and actually learning how to summarize, analyze, and think critically is another thing altogether. BooksShark IGs help parents lay strong foundations for critical thinking and analytical skills for their kids. Some of these questions go pretty deep too. It's something my son isn't used to. I also noticed that a lot of them are similar to big exam questions, so it's amazing that I can actually combine history with so many other aspects and also prepare my son for exam taking at the same time. BooksShark really thought of everything a parent might need from their instructor's guide. Next up, we have the timeline figures, timeline book, and the markable map. I chose to group these three items together because they add a different dimension to your whole curriculum. Besides, you only need to buy the timeline book and map once for all your BooksShark history years. Kids learn better when they have various mediums of expression, and the timeline stickers and markable map offer them the kinesthetic component to complete the full range of learning styles. The timeline figures are gorgeous black and white figures drawn by Amy from Homeschooling in the Woods. Their quality is exceptional, and we have been enjoying them in our homeschool for a few months now. The timeline book is a spiral-bound book of years where all timeline stickers go. Imagine having this timeline book through the years and building it together to have a complete image of our history. As for the markable map, I think it's an ingenious solution to geography. It just makes maps interactive and more appealing for kids. Next up is the binder. Okay, this is my least favorite part of all the curriculum. I call it the binder because it's huge. It's a heavy 3-ring binder with 36 tabs, perfect for organizing your BooksShark subjects all in one place. I have to admit it's an awesome command center, and we probably would have used it if I had more subjects from BooksShark and more space in our homeschool. But as it is, I share half a desk with my son, and our homeschool room is a corner of our living room. That's small anyway. So my only solution was to ditch all the binders and bulk and spiral bind everything. Yes, you can do that with BooksShark's instructor's guides because they are cool and flexible like that. Since I have a single child, this spiral binding method works great for us, and I am saving so much desk space. And now let's talk about the history spine. Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere book and notebook. These would be considered the history spines of level F, but they are nothing like traditional textbooks or workbooks. I was anxious to see how this would match with the literature books, and I have to admit I was wondering how my son would feel about this set. He's a reluctant writer, and I knew the notebook has some writing involved. I shouldn't have worried. Even if we've just covered China, the reading and writing activities went smoothly and blended seamlessly into the literature, and my son didn't complain at all. The Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere is a full-color book with gorgeous images and foldable maps for each country. It looks more like a pocket guide or encyclopedia than a textbook, and it's a pleasure to leaf through and read. This book has 431 pages, and it covers 5 regions: Asia, the Middle East, Africa, the Pacific Islands, and Antarctica. Within these regions, we will study 11 countries in depth: China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, Russia, Vietnam, India, Israel, Saudi Arabia, New Zealand, and Australia. Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere is an awesome resource with brief information about each country's history, from the ancient times to present. geography features, culture, economy, personalities, and more. This book is a true treasure to have. It's full of colorful pictures, maps, and very useful information that helps you take a glimpse into another culture. I usually read aloud the information from this book because I stop often, making remarks or comments, helping my son make connections with what he's seen on TV or heard us talk about. I think Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere is a great resource for parents to use as a launch pad for further conversations, including making connections with current events or even discussing cultural aspects of a certain region or country. This is the workbook side of the Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere. It's a full color guide that serves as a note-taking journal. Despite it being a note-taking journal, there isn't a lot to write. So even my reluctant writer didn't complain about it. There are colorful pictures for each country, the flag, the country's place on the map. It has timelines, map work, and fun activities to choose from and enrich your experience. What I like about this notebook is that it helps cement the information from the Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere book. Kids are asked to go back to the book's pages in order to find and take out some very simple key facts. This is an aspect I greatly appreciate because I feel middle school is the perfect time to introduce note-taking and research. Of course, the bulk of BookShark's Reading with History Level F, the Eastern Hemisphere, is the quality literature they curated. I love that they intentionally picked the books to match their Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere spine, and I could not have come up with a more cohesive list of literature for the East even if I wanted to. Most of the books are award winners and they are all age-appropriate reads. The quality of literature is something that makes me go back to BookShark's lists year after year in search of inspiration for more books to order. We've already read some of these and I completely trust BooksShark with their choices because everything we've read so far was well-written literature, eye-opening living books that went beyond the role of entertainment to educate my son. Exposing him to good writing was one of my goals from the beginning, and BooksShark helps me pick the best for him. Please note that no matter what great reading lists you find, a parent's duty is still to pass these through their personal filter before handing the books to their children. A feature I appreciate about BooksShark is that their IG has a heads up for parents when sensitive or difficult topics show up in a book, letting parents decide on how to treat these further. This is why I'm confidently going through these lists with my son because the IG will hold my hand through it all. So let's see what book categories are included. The readers. These are the books your children will read independently. They can range from illustrated to chapter books and no illustrations. So some are shorter and some are longer, making this a great variation for kids so they can easily keep up with their reading. My son is happily devouring these and there's nothing I can do to stop him. If your kids love reading, there's no greater joy you can give them than unlimited books. Opening BooksShark's box felt like a huge surprise for my son, and he couldn't wait to start reading these. Seeing him pick up a book and reading it when he's bored means more to me than any two-page essay. He doesn't like writing, but he loves reading, and BooksShark just gave him the opportunity of doing school the way he wants to. This is priceless for us, and I will forever be grateful to BooksShark for this opportunity. Next, we have the read-alouds. These are the books you will read aloud to your children. The reading level in these is more advanced, but reading level alone shouldn't deprive kids of good literature. Hearing great literature read aloud is great for developing their own expression and reading skills, comprehension, vocabulary, and language structure. That's why I don't mind reading aloud to my son, even though his reading speed and lexile are at a high school or college level according to his reading tests. The read-alouds included in BooksShark's Reading with History Level F are rich choices, and I am deeply impressed with these books' quality. I knew that BooksShark's choices were great, but seeing these books all in one place and fitting together like pieces of a puzzle makes me appreciate the effort that went into creating BooksShark Reading with History Level F even more. I'd love to go more in depth about each of the books we've read, but this video will turn out huge. So I decided to make a separate video showing you how we do a full lesson of history. Next, we have our China kit and origami set. BookShark Reading with History Level F has two hands-on kits. They are both awesome choices that my son loves despite not being a craft-loving child. This is a neat little kit that contains several activities pertaining to China. The most notable is the calligraphy set. Here's what you get in the box. You get the calligraphy set, rice paper, a pair of chopsticks, some games, and an activity booklet. Even though these activities are usually done towards the end of a country, we already tested some out because my son couldn't wait to try his hand at Chinese calligraphy, and he liked it so much that I had to order him more rice paper and another ink stick. I love seeing him interested in learning more. I feel that BookShark's kits really help kids cement the information they receive from all the wonderful books with their well-thought activity kits and suggestions. It's also a great way to identify with the people we read about. The origami kit is another activity that my son will love. We received a Fun with Easy origami book and some origami papers to try our hands at origami when we study Japan. Did you know that BookShark also offers you the option to add a virtual seat to your package? A virtual seat is a digitalized version of your instructor's guide and so much more. We have virtual seat access for Level F History and Level F Language Arts. This is amazing for us since our school demands some tests or graded assessments, and BookShark's virtual seat is a tremendous help in that regard. The virtual seat not only offers us the option of getting and submitting grades to our school, but it's also a super handy digitized instructor's guide on the go. I've told you I found the binder to be huge and bulky. Well, this turns the instructor's guide into an ultra portable book because I can even access it from my phone now. On the student side, my son gets access to all his work and can easily mark everything done and see how much work he has left. This is an amazing way of developing kids' executive functioning skills. In a classic paper format kit from BookShark, kids don't have their own checklists, but online he can easily see the plan ahead and how much he still has to do each day. This is something I'm trying to implement for every subject this year. That's why I created a student planner for my son. More on our curriculum choices and planning for 6th grade coming soon. So why would you get a virtual seat anyway? You have the books, right? A BookShark virtual seat will never replace the books, and it's not meant as a replacement. A virtual seat is an extra help in your homeschool, making everything easily accessible and offering you the assessment option if you need it. It will also give children control over their work since they can have access to the full plan online. Let me tell you why the virtual seat makes sense for us and why we love it. It has assessments. The paper version has no assessments. While that's okay for most homeschool families, we homeschool through an accredited distance school that demands testing to be submitted. BookShark's virtual seat helps us cover this requirement with no extra stress from me to create tests. That would have been a huge undertaking for a curriculum this size. Grading. I've been grading papers for years and it's not something I particularly enjoy doing. BookShark's virtual seat has automatic grading tools. That means most of the questions get graded on the spot by the software. Only written work needs to be assessed by the teacher, and that's the fun part anyway. Reluctant writers. Not all reluctant writers on paper are reluctant when it comes to typing. This is a great way to shake things up and make writing more appealing. It has all resources in one place. Aside from the fact that the whole instructor's guide, tests, and assignments are in one place, parents can create extra assignments for the kids. I love using BookShark's virtual seat to assign videos from YouTube for certain topics. I love that it's all in one place and easily accessible. And lastly, it helps with teacher-student relationship. Since we homeschool, the lines between parent and teacher often blur. BookShark's virtual seat platform offered me the possibility to have official communication channels with my son. The teacher and students can send themselves messages messages and reports. I think this has been a new and beneficial experience for both of us, and my son is learning how to answer official messages from teachers this way. We love BookShark, and their virtual seat feature is a real bonus for us because they simplify the whole testing and grading dilemma for us. So how do we do it? It's so easy to adapt. Before I tell you how we treat a BookShark Reading with History Level F lesson, please note that the instructor's guide is just that, a guide. Do not let it overwhelm or discourage you. You are free to do it all, drop the parts that don't suit you, or add extras. I treat the guide as a friend. It lets me know what worked for them, but I am free to choose my own way. I already managed to tweak the schedule to fit us and our style, and to be done with the BookShark history work in 15 to 30 minutes per day. Our schedule in 5 steps is this. I read aloud daily from the Journey to the Eastern Hemisphere while we discuss and add figures to the timeline book. My son fills the required notebooking pages daily. Then we read the super short poems and answer the questions in the instructor's guide. That's it, history is done. But where's the reading, you ask? Reading aloud when you're on a busy schedule is stressful. It's also stressful knowing you have to read aloud daily on a schedule while other subjects are still pending. My biggest secret to making BookShark fit into less than an hour a day, sometimes even 15 minutes, is to read in advance. I give my son the readers in advance in order to read at his leisure. This works great for us. Whenever he's bored, he picks up his book, and I read aloud at night. Instead of our nighttime story, I read from a required read aloud in advance. I know this might not work for you, but somehow my son can still pay attention during the night, and I shoot 2 birds with 1 stone. I really want to make history alive and interesting again in our homeschooling, so another thing we do is supplement it. Since the history and culture we are reading about are so rich, I decided to create a 4D experience around each country, more than what's suggested in the guide. I find interesting documentaries to watch. We choose 1 or more activities suggested in the notebook pages. We'll try a meal or some snacks from each country. And if my son wants to, we will listen to some music or even read more books that we already have on that country. Now, don't believe that there isn't plenty to do in the BooksShark's Reading with History Level F package. But since we have so much time left from reading in advance, plus the 5th extra day, enriching it seems right. I could rave about BooksShark's Reading with History Level F some more, but I am sure you're here in this section to hear about the bad stuff. The only thing I don't like about BooksShark's Reading with History Level F is their binder. It's too big for us, and I have an aversion to binders in general. I just can't make them work for us, so I spiral bound the instructor's guides instead. This works great for us. I know this is a pretty lame negative aspect, but I genuinely didn't find any fault in this program from our perspective. So I'm leaving this list for you instead. You will love BooksShark level if you and your kids love reading. You want a literature-based curriculum for history. You prefer a ready-made lesson plan and schedule. You like having all items picked out and tested for you. You want a secular approach to history. You want to teach the bigger picture. You want a solid curriculum. Or if you want your kids to have a broad overview of other cultures and keep an open mind. You won't love BooksShark Level F if you hate reading. You prefer textbooks to living books. You want to make your own lesson plans. And you like choosing and piecing together your own curriculum. If you love reading, are tired of piecing together stuff that falls apart in the end, are tired of burnout and feeling overwhelmed with the choices available, the chances are you will love this homeschool history curriculum. Also, if you want your kids to learn about more than just US and Europe-centered histories, this is your perfect chance to introduce them to the world beyond your borders. I love this history curriculum because it goes beyond history, combining culture, history, and literature. What I appreciate most about BookShark's Reading with History Level F is that their package creates experiences. The rich literature and flexible instructor's guides, coupled with the enriching activities, manage to take us beyond a simple page of text, dry dates, and facts. It manages to make us feel curious about history and culture in ways we weren't before. So I will just give you 5 reasons to love this curriculum that were the driving reasons in choosing this curriculum for us. There are many more aspects I appreciate about this curriculum. It covers the Eastern history. As I said, I have found no other homeschool history curriculum that covers the Eastern Hemisphere over the course of a year. BookShark did an amazing job at piecing together a strong, enriching curriculum that will take you and your children on a memorable journey through the enigmatic East. So prepare for a year of mysterious history, geography, and culture to be unveiled page by page. We love the fact that our history this year will be one we've never discussed before, and that we will go beyond the history of our backyard into the wide world. This offers us the chance to set aside ignorance when we hear about current events in Asia or the Middle East, because now we have some context and a starting point to dig deeper. Empathy and immersion. Because BookShark Reading with History Level F is a literature-based curriculum, this history draws on children's empathy and ability to relate to the characters in the books they read. It's a great way of getting kids interested and immersed in the world of the characters they read about. Through this newfound curiosity about a different time or culture, kids can then explore the factual part of history and geography without the problems of a traditional curriculum, because now they have the context and desire to learn more in order to paint a full picture of that time period or specific area. And I'll give you a specific example. Seeing Yang Fu in the book we are reading struggling to learn reading and writing Chinese characters and actually experiencing the same struggles ourselves brought the whole history much closer to us. It made us appreciate and respect the effort that goes into learning such a complicated skill, and it's an experience that will stay with us forever. A holistic approach to history. BookShark Reading with History Level F offers kids and parents a holistic approach to history, geography, literature, and culture, which in turn offers them a broader perspective on the world around them. Kids get to learn through an enriching experience because they will be so invested in finding out more. The rich literature, interesting facts, and engaging activities will all serve to create a positive learning experience when it comes to history. Beyond reading and filling the pages of a notebook, actively working on a map and timeline or trying a cultural activity had my son realize that history isn't isolated from other aspects of life. History happens within a certain area and in a certain culture that might be vastly different from ours. In fact, he realized for the first time that cultural differences can lead to wars. No other history curriculum managed to put things into perspective quite like that. Conversation starter. BookShark's instructor's guides are a treasure for parents. They are the ideal guides, offering you just enough material to make sure you cover a topic, but also allowing you the space for flexibility and further enrichment. I love it when we read together and stop to delve deeper into related topics. It's so easy to get dragged into a rabbit hole and start discussions I wouldn't have started with him otherwise. In the short weeks we've been using this history curriculum, we've covered everything from how to eat at the table in China to more complex topics of opium usage and what it means to have an addiction, or even the unbelievable customs of feet binding, which led us to discuss how society's views of beauty and pressure over women changed over time. These and many more are serious, life-altering conversations that we've never had the opportunity to freely discuss before. The instructor's guides are truly amazing, flexible guides that, if approached correctly and with an open mind, can take your learning experiences to a whole new level. And these can even translate into rich conversations and debates as a family. I honestly feel that our learning with BookShark stays with us the full day. It doesn't stop when we close the books. Rich literature. Literature-based curricula go way beyond the experience of a textbook, and BookShark is no exception. Their rich literature choices are award winners, acclaimed books that were specially curated to offer parents and kids a different approach to history. No more dry textbooks full of dates and dead people no one cares about. This is history alive through the eyes of people who lived it. Joining these characters in their struggles, in their growth, and in their journeys, we develop a different sense of history. And suddenly, history isn't about the dead persons and forgotten things, but it's about kids like your own kids or people like yourselves that lived and struggled through life. Reading everything from fairy tales to biographies and even poems through history made us see history in another light and appreciate it more. Not to mention, the constant reading of good quality books is enriching my son's vocabulary, expression, critical thinking, and summarizing skills. The literature paired with the instructor guides manages to create a perfect environment for analyzing and thinking, which I absolutely adore at this stage when he's just beginning to think for himself. I know this has been a long video, but I hope that I managed to convey my full feelings and experience with BookShark Reading with History Level F. This curriculum is amazing for every homeschooler that wants to shake things up a bit when it comes to history and go out of their comfort zone learning about unexplored areas of history. As for us, I already feel the seeds of curiosity taking root where before they fell on barren ground, and I can't wait to come back here in a year with our end of year review for BookShark's Reading with History Level F. I can't wait to travel through it all this year and make the most of it. I couldn't be happier with our choice of a history curriculum for this year, and I highly recommend it to every family that's on the lookout for a literature-rich, culturally diverse homeschool history curriculum. I hope this video has been useful. Thank you for watching till the end. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to help me grow this channel. Until next time, stay curious!